Hello, I'm Richard with EV for You Custom Conversions, and today we're going to do a little overview of this 1966 Porsche 912. So join me as we take a closer look at this all-electric classic.
Okay, as I mentioned, this is a 1966 Porsche 912 converted to full electric. This is very similar to others that we've done. But you can see the stance is such that it looks just like any other 1966 Porsche 912. Of course, this one has aftermarket wheels on it, 16-inch, makes it sit up a little higher. Not my cup of tea. So let's pop the deck lid and the bonnet and take a look at what makes this thing tick. All right, well, let's start on the outside here. Let's start with the charge port. It's kind of in the obvious place here. This is a place where we typically locate the charge port. Is where the original gas filler location was, unless the customer specifies otherwise. That's where we put them. This one is just the 110. You could have whatever you wanted. If you wanted a J1772, of course we could install that for you also. Let's take a look under the bonnet. Well, under the bonnet you can see that we have, instead of a gas tank and spare tire, we've got a few different components. So I'm going to start kind of in the 1 o'clock position up here, and we'll walk around. So first we have our fuse block and relays up here for our 12 volt. This is unswitched 12 volts. This is switched 12 volts. We have a power relay, and we have our key switch relay, which turns our DC to DC converter on and off. We have a dual element ceramic heater here. We have our inertia switch right here. Here's our auxiliary battery. It's a new 12 volt lead acid auxiliary battery. We have our front battery pack, which contains 20 of the 44 lithium iron phosphate Cal 100 amp hour cells. And let's get in here a little closer and take a look what's down in the hole here. So right here, I don't know if it shows up, but we have a little junction box. Let me kind of move the camera here. There, you can see it right here. Our charger plugs into that, as well as our trickle charger for the auxiliary battery. Let's kind of get back to square one here. So here's the DC to DC converter. Just right above it we have a trickle charger. So anytime the vehicle's plugged in and being charged, this trickle charger is trickle charging our auxiliary battery. Anytime the ignition is on, the DC to DC converter is charging our auxiliary battery, as well as sharing the load. In that junction box where we have the charger and trickle charger plugged into is our safety interlock. So anytime the vehicle's plugged in, it's disabled, and you're not going to be able to move the vehicle. And then next to that we have our charger. This is the 2500 watt Elcon charger. And so that's pretty much in the front here. We also have on the side here, where you can't see, we have a contactor for the heating element of our heater. We have a fuse down here and one in the back here for each one of the legs running to the back of the vehicle. Our, high voltage legs. So when the car is restored, the customer can do whatever they want with the aesthetics to cover some of this stuff. They just kind of need to leave this area open. What we've done in the past is cover this and then have some fans and intake and exhaust fan so that we have proper cooling air for the charger. So let's go take a look at the back end of the vehicle. So in the engine compartment, this is what the completed setup looks like. And so you've seen this before. So we have our motor. And we'll kind of do a little close-up in a second here, but here's the motor. It's the High Performance Electric Vehicle Systems AC51 Curtis 1239 controller. We have our terminal strip, relay here for our pre-charge circuit, service disconnect, main contactor, electronic throttle, and over here we have our coolant reservoir. Underneath here we have cooler radiator, fans, and in this corner the pump. And then we have two saddle racks on either side of the motor. And if you look at the previous videos in this series, you will see all the components and you see them going together. This is just kind of the final, or one of the final episodes in this series. We'll take a look at the inside in a moment, but let's take a little closer look at the engine bay here. And then our final video in this series will be a test drive. We're waiting on the registration stickers to be able to do that. So there's our battery boxes with the tops on. You can see little cell booties peeking through the holes there where the cables come through. And so air is allowed to come from underneath the vehicle through that area. Some of it comes and goes underneath here, passing by our motor and our cooling system, and the rest of it's allowed to exhaust out the top, out of the deck lid here. So looking through the deck lid, we can see the warning label, we can see some cables, we can see the controller with the naked eye at least. Can't see a whole lot. So now let's take a look at the interior and see what's been done in regards to the conversion to electric. Well, in regards to the electric conversion, the car basically operates the same as it did before. You're just going to simply turn on the key and then away you go. Now, a few things that have been added are where the original ashtray was, so there's no holes drilled or anything. This is just put in and with adhesive. We didn't drill any holes or anything. Is an emergency disconnect, and next to that is our heater with the 3-speed fan. So that's going to provide defrost and heat. Below that we have the Curtis I believe it's 840 display, which is going to give us RPMs, controller temperature, and additional information regarding their product, the motor and controller, that is. And then next to it we have the JLD 404. I'll come back to that in a second. But to the right of that we have a 12 volt gauge, so that we can monitor our 12 volt auxiliary system and DC to DC converter. And then we have the JLD 404, and it's providing information such as amps, pack voltage, and amp hours, which is basically our fuel gauge. So you can see it's all quite simple, very easy to understand, very easy to use, and at the discretion of the owner, when they restore the vehicle, they can relocate these things. We drilled 2 very small holes up underneath the dash to mount this whole assembly with. So very little impact to the vehicle due to our conversion. Those who get upset that we're, adulterating a classic, there's some people who think we're making them better. But no matter how you look at it, you could convert this back to internal combustion, and no one would ever be the wiser that this was once electric. So this is the rear part as we received it. This is a wooden box that somebody made and put some speakers in here. There's some speaker grills down at the bottom. There's no speakers there, but not speaker grills, but holes. But you lift that lid, it smells like rat urine. It's pretty nasty. Matter of fact, these seat covers that we stuck in here, just because the seat covers were so nasty, we didn't want to sit on the seats even. So we just threw in some cheap seat covers to get us by. So that's kind of the overview of the 1966 Porsche 912. Has a very nice stance. Like I said, I like the stock ones better, with the 15-inch rims. They sit a little bit lower, have a little nicer look, I think. 16-inch wheels he's got on here, it fills the wheel well a little bit more, and that's why they flared out the rear ones to get clearance. But I'll take the stock one personally. So we hope you enjoyed this video series showing what you can do with off-the-shelf components. That's the whole objective here, was to show you that you don't have to be a master fabricator or anything to do one of these. There were very few things that required fabrication. Our battery racks and our rear motor mount were the extent of it. And the most difficult part of all of that was the battery racks. They required some welding and some, careful fitment, because it's a tight fit to put the battery pack in a vehicle of this size and not put batteries in the passenger compartment, but have them outside the passenger compartment. Maintain good weight balance, so this car will actually perform as well or better. Actually, they perform better than they did stock. Better weight distribution. And as far as the 912s go, this is with this AC51 setup, it's going to perform on par. Has good acceleration, and is a lot more pleasurable to own and drive because of the less maintenance and greater reliability. And so what we'll do in our next episode is we'll take this thing for a road trip, and well, not really a road trip, but onto the freeway, and see what kind of range can be expected. Like I said, we've done this before, so I know what to expect, but we want to confirm that this vehicle is indeed doing it also. We're going to do a little test drive right now just in the industrial park here. Like I said, we haven't received the registration stickers from the owner, so we don't want to drive it on the public roads, but we'll take it for a little test drive here in the park. And one of the things you'll notice, you'll hear the brakes making some noise. That's the rust on the discs being rubbed against this car. Got some flat spots in the tires. It kind of feels like, because it's sat for quite some time before we received it. We move things around, jockeying things around all the time, so they don't get flat spots while we have them. But you know, like I said, not having been used, brake discs get rusty and everything. So a little bit of noise, plus without the internal combustion engine, you're going to hear every squeak, groan, every little piece of rust cry out, everything. And that's kind of the nature of taking you know, almost 50-year-old car and converting it to a quiet electric vehicle. So without any further delay, let's go for a test drive. Okay, we'll go for a quick little test drive here. I like to have the amps display showing on my JLD 404. The stick shift is a little tricky. It just wobbles around right here, so we'll have to be careful going to the gears in that direction. It's easy to go the lower gears usually, the gears towards us. So we turn on the key. We'll wait a moment while our pre-charge does its thing and our gauge comes up, and we're ready to go. So this has got the 5-speed, so we got reverse, first, second, and we've got it in third. In third for these Porsches is a nice spot. A lot of the owners only drive them in third gear. I'll take off in second or third usually, and then I go through the gears. So let's go for a quickie. So it takes off real easy, effortless. Even in third gear, it gets up to speed nice and briskly. Fourth gear kind of sets you back a little bit. Speedometer's off on this one because of the larger diameter wheels. Just leave it in fourth gear here, give it the throttle, and away she goes. Driving it automatic or single, you know, direct drive, single gear setup. It's got regen. It's not, it's noticeable, but it's not overwhelming. It's comfortable. Basically, really replicates the internal combustion setup, which is what we are striving for. So this time we'll take it down into second gear. And take off in second. Quickly.
get up, go. It's a comfortable car to drive. It's not, not a race car, so to speak, but you can hot rod it a little bit. I mean, it's got enough torque that it's very fun to drive. Setup, it'll do about 60 max is what we've seen. Again, third gear takeoff. That's just a real comfortable gear for taking off in. Get forward, pulls real nice. Fifth gear, yes. I mean, it just pulls in fifth as well as any other gear. Test drive in our 1966 Porsche 912. Said still in fourth gear. Just leave it in fourth and go. Third gear now for our low speed target on here, but it still has good acceleration even from almost a dead stop. So stay with us. We hope to bring you the final episode in this series with our highway test drive, or range drive, to confirm that this is operating like all the others. I have driven it enough here locally, kind of trying to stay under the radar, to pretty much confirm that it's doing the distance per amp hours that we expect. But we have a 45-mile loop that we do for testing these vehicles on, and so we'll do that multiple times just to make sure that she's ready for delivery, and then we say goodbye to another one and keep on marching forward. So until next time, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and thanks for watching.